The alarm jolts you awake at 6:30 a.m. You drag yourself out of bed, feeling that familiar stiffness in your joints, the subtle puffiness around your eyes, and a heaviness that sleep somehow failed to erase. By the time you reach the kitchen, you're already calculating how much caffeine you'll need just to function until lunch. This morning, fatigue isn't just psychological. It's a biological signal that your body is fighting an invisible battle against chronic inflammation, a battle that's being lost before your day even begins. What most Americans don't realize is that the conventional breakfast, whether it's cereal with milk, toast with jam, bagels with cream cheese, or even that seemingly healthy fruit smoothie, is literally programming your body for inflammation within minutes of consumption. The consequences extend far beyond just feeling sluggish. This morning inflammatory response affects your mental clarity, energy levels, pain perception, and even how you age on a cellular level. The good news? This pattern can be completely reversed with a few strategic morning recipe adjustments that actually taste better than the inflammatory alternatives. Research from Harvard Medical School has revealed that the first meal of the day disproportionately impacts your inflammatory markers for the following 24 hours. Dr. Frank Hu, chair of the Department of Nutrition at Harvard-TH Chan School of Public Health, explains that the meal timing creates a metabolic training effect, where your body's response to later meals is significantly influenced by how you break your overnight fast. In simple terms, an anti-inflammatory breakfast doesn't just affect your morning, it creates a protective ripple effect that extends throughout your entire day. This matters profoundly because chronic, low-grade inflammation isn't just about feeling suboptimal. It's now recognized as the root driver behind virtually every major chronic disease. Cardiovascular disease, diabetes, autoimmune conditions, cognitive decline, and even certain cancers share this common inflammatory pathway. What's particularly alarming is that this inflammation is often silent, detectable only through specific blood tests, measuring markers like C-reactive protein, interleukin-6, and tumor necrosis factor alpha long before symptoms become apparent. The standard American breakfast is literally the perfect inflammatory storm. The typical combination of refined carbohydrates, processed vegetable oils, and minimal fiber triggers what immunologists call the postprandial inflammatory response, a surge of inflammatory compounds released into your bloodstream within minutes of eating. This response evolved as a protective mechanism thousands of years ago when food might contain pathogens. But in our modern food environment, it's become a chronic, daily assault on our biology. Let's take something seemingly innocent like a bowl of conventional breakfast cereal with milk. Within 30 minutes of consumption, your blood glucose levels spike dramatically, triggering an equally aggressive insulin response. This glucose-insulin roller coaster initiates an inflammatory cascade that affects every system in your body. The acellular carbohydrates, those that have been processed to the point where the plant cell walls have been destroyed, create a bacterial bloom in your gut that further exacerbates inflammation. Meanwhile, the conventional dairy often contains proteins that can trigger immune reactivity in susceptible individuals while lacking the beneficial fatty acids found in higher quality dairy sources. Even the healthy options often fail us. That fruit smoothie with low-fat yogurt typically contains 40 to 60 grams of sugar, minimal protein or healthy fat to buffer the glucose response, and is consumed so quickly that it overwhelms your metabolic machinery. The green juice might be packed with nutrients, but without adequate fat, protein, and fiber, it can create the same glucose spike as a can of soda. The morning represents a unique metabolic window where your body is especially sensitive to nutritional signals. After an overnight fast, your insulin sensitivity is at its highest, your cortisol naturally peaks to provide energy, and your gut permeability is slightly increased. This creates both vulnerability and opportunity. Vulnerability to inflammatory triggers, but also an unparalleled opportunity to set a positive inflammatory trajectory for the entire day. The recipes I'm about to share have been strategically designed based on what scientists call the anti-inflammatory triad, the perfect balance of compounds that actively suppress inflammatory pathways while supporting cellular repair and optimal mitochondrial function. Each recipe contains specific ratios of anti-inflammatory fats, antioxidant compounds, and prebiotic fibers that work synergistically to create effects greater than any single superfood could provide. Most importantly, they're delicious, quick to prepare, and use ingredients readily available in conventional grocery stores. Before I share the first recipe, it's important to understand that the anti-inflammatory effect comes not just from what you include, but also from what you strategically avoid during this sensitive morning window. Research published in the Journal of Nutritional Biochemistry identified the 4 most potent inflammatory triggers in the modern diet: refined vegetable oils high in omega-6 fatty acids, cellular carbohydrates like those found in flour and sugar, processed dairy proteins, and artificial additives like colorings, preservatives, and sweeteners. By simply eliminating these 4 categories from your morning routine, you'll reduce your inflammatory burden dramatically. The first recipe I'll share is what I call the Inflammation Extinguisher Bowl. a morning meal that actively downregulates the NF-κB pathway, one of the primary cellular mechanisms driving inflammation. Unlike most breakfast bowls that start with a grain base, this recipe uses a unique combination of plant and animal proteins that optimize your amino acid profile for morning muscle synthesis and neurotransmitter production. You'll start with a base of cauliflower rice, not the prepackaged kind that often contains additives, but simply fresh cauliflower pulsed in a food processor until it reaches a rice-like consistency. This cruciferous base provides sulforaphane, a powerful compound that activates the NRF2 pathway, your body's primary cellular defense mechanism against oxidative stress. 2 minutes in the microwave with a splash of water is all it takes to perfectly steam this base. While the cauliflower steams, you'll quickly sauté a palm-sized portion of ground pasture-raised chicken or turkey in a tablespoon of ghee or coconut oil. The saturated fats in these traditional cooking oils are actually protective against inflammation, contrary to outdated nutritional advice. Add a teaspoon of turmeric with a pinch of black pepper, which increases the bioavailability of turmeric's active compound, curcumin, by an astounding 2,000%. This simple spice combination has been shown in multiple studies to be as effective as certain anti-inflammatory medications for reducing systemic inflammation markers. The magic happens in the final assembly. Top your protein and cauliflower base with half an avocado, providing monounsaturated fats and glutathione precursors, a tablespoon of pumpkin seeds rich in zinc and magnesium, and a generous sprinkle of blueberries, which contain anthocyanins that have been shown to directly inhibit inflammatory transcription factors. A final drizzle of extra virgin olive oil adds polyphenols that have been demonstrated to reduce post-meal inflammatory markers by up to 47% in clinical studies. The second recipe transforms the conventional American breakfast smoothie from a sugar bomb into what nutritional biochemists call a metabolic modulator, a powerful blend specifically designed to stabilize blood glucose while delivering therapeutic doses of anti-inflammatory compounds. Unlike traditional smoothies that prioritize fruit, this morning anti-inflammatory elixir starts with a different foundation: full-fat coconut milk. The medium-chain triglycerides, MCTs, in coconut milk bypass normal digestive pathways and provide immediate energy to your mitochondria without triggering an insulin response. Research from the University of California has shown that these MCTs actually reduce the inflammatory effects of other foods consumed simultaneously, essentially creating a protective buffer for your morning metabolism. To this base, add half a cup of frozen zucchini, virtually tasteless when blended, but packed with pectin, a soluble fiber that feeds beneficial gut bacteria while slowing glucose absorption. Next comes a handful of spinach, providing lutein and zeaxanthin, carotenoids that specifically target neural inflammation. A quarter cup of blueberries adds just enough sweetness while delivering a concentrated dose of anthocyanins that directly inhibit inflammatory enzymes like COX-2, the same enzyme targeted by many anti-inflammatory medications. The protein component comes from 2 tablespoons of collagen peptides, a unique protein source rich in glycine, proline, and arginine, amino acids specifically required for morning tissue repair and immune function. Unlike whey protein, which can be immunogenic for many people, collagen is typically well tolerated and directly supports gut lining integrity, a critical factor in controlling systemic inflammation. The transformative ingredients are the final additions: a tablespoon of ground flaxseed providing alpha-linolenic acid, a precursor to anti-inflammatory omega-3 fatty acids, a teaspoon of ginger with its potent gingerol compounds, and a quarter teaspoon of Ceylon cinnamon, which has been shown to improve insulin sensitivity by up to 20% in just 40 days of regular consumption. Blend everything with ice and a splash of water to your desired consistency. This smoothie contains less than 7 grams of natural sugar, but delivers over 20 grams of protein and 15 grams of healthy fats, the perfect ratio to prevent glucose spikes while providing sustained energy. The carefully selected ingredients work synergistically to activate what scientists call xenohormesis, the beneficial stress response triggered by plant compounds that activates your cellular antioxidant defense systems. I want to speak directly to you watching this right now. Have you noticed how conventional nutrition advice focuses almost exclusively on what foods contain rather than how your body responds to those foods? This fundamental shift in perspective, from food as merely a collection of nutrients to food as information that programs your biology, has transformed how functional medicine practitioners approach inflammatory conditions. The recipes I'm sharing aren't just about avoiding bad ingredients. They're specifically designed to deliver precise informational signals that recalibrate your inflammatory response. If you're finding value in understanding the science behind these anti-inflammatory approaches, consider subscribing to this channel. Unlike typical recipe videos that focus solely on taste or convenience, we explore the biological mechanisms that make specific food combinations particularly healing. The comment section below is open for your experiences. Have you noticed how certain breakfast choices affect your energy or pain levels throughout the day? Your observations might help others connect these important dots in their own health journey. The third recipe addresses a common morning challenge: the need for a portable, room temperature stable option that can be prepared in advance but still delivers potent anti-inflammatory benefits. Enter the Inflammation Shield muffins, but these bear little resemblance to the sugar-laden, refined flour muffins that spike inflammation. These savory, protein-rich muffins use a base of almond and coconut flours, grain-free alternatives that don't trigger the lectin and gluten responses associated with conventional flours. These plant proteins provide a sustained release of amino acids, while delivering prebiotic fibers that selectively feed beneficial gut bacteria like Akkermansia mucinifila, which plays a crucial role in maintaining a healthy intestinal barrier. The structural fat comes from olive oil, specifically chosen for its oleocanthal content, a natural compound that researchers at the Manel Chemical Senses Center discovered has a similar mechanistic action to ibuprofen in reducing inflammatory enzyme activity. Pasture-raised eggs provide choline for neurotransmitter production and lutein for brain health, while also creating the perfect texture. The anti-inflammatory power comes from the additions: finely chopped bell peppers, rich in quercetin, spinach providing magnesium and folate, and medicinal mushrooms like shiitake, which contain beta-glucans that modulate immune function. A teaspoon of rosemary isn't just for flavor. Its carnosic acid has been shown to reduce inflammatory cytokine production by up to 30% in clinical studies. These muffins can be made in batches of 12, frozen and reheated as needed, providing a convenient grab-and-go option that actively combats inflammation rather than triggering it. Each muffin contains approximately 15 grams of protein, 12 grams of healthy fats, and less than 4 grams of net carbohydrates, the ideal macronutrient profile for morning metabolic function. For those mornings when you need something warming and comforting, the fourth recipe offers a complete reimagining of breakfast porridge. The metabolic reset porridge removes the inflammatory grains while preserving the comforting texture and nourishing warmth most of us crave, especially during colder months. Instead of oats, the base combines hemp hearts and ground flaxseed, two seeds that provide complete proteins and anti-inflammatory omega-3 fatty acids. These are mixed with unsweetened shredded coconut for texture and MCTs, creating a porridge base that supports ketone production while providing all 9 essential amino acids. The liquid component is a combination of full-fat coconut milk and water, gently heated but never boiled, which would damage the delicate omega-3 fatty acids. As this mixture warms, add a teaspoon of ground turmeric, a quarter teaspoon of Ceylon cinnamon, and a pinch of cardamom, a spice combination specifically chosen for its synergistic effects on reducing the activity of NF-κB, the master regulator of inflammatory gene expression. After removing from heat, fold in a tablespoon of almond butter for creaminess and additional protein, and top with mixed berries for their polyphenol content. A final drizzle of raw, unfiltered honey, ideally local, provides not just sweetness, but also specialized enzymes and compounds that support your immune system's regulatory function rather than its inflammatory response. This porridge delivers the comfort of traditional breakfast cereals while actively reducing inflammatory markers. The careful combination of proteins, fats, and limited natural carbohydrates maintains stable blood glucose levels, while the bioactive compounds from spices and berries actively suppress inflammatory signaling pathways. The final recipe offers a complete paradigm shift from conventional breakfast thinking. The cellular renewal breakfast plate embraces what chronobiologists call metabolic flexibility, your body's ability to efficiently use different fuel sources throughout the day. This approach is particularly beneficial for reducing the chronic inflammatory state associated with metabolic syndrome and insulin resistance, conditions affecting over 88 million Americans. This simple yet revolutionary breakfast consists of a palm-sized portion of wild-caught salmon, rich in specialized pro-resolving mediators, SPMs, derived from omega-3 fatty acids that actively terminate inflammatory processes. Alongside it, half an avocado provides glutathione precursors essential for your body's natural detoxification processes, while a cup of sautéed leafy greens delivers nitrates that support endothelial function and blood flow. The distinctive element is the addition of fermented vegetables. A small portion of authentic, unpasteurized sauerkraut or kimchi provides billions of beneficial bacteria, along with postbiotic compounds, shown to reduce inflammatory cytokine production.